learn a new language in 2022. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome back to Vigilante Linguistics, or if you're new here, welcome. So today I'm sharing with you guys my process here learning a new language, a language that is somewhat still new to me, Mandarin Chinese, and how I am doing that this year and what I have learned from the different resources and apps and programs and teachers and tutors and classes, and what I like best and what I do not like and what I am doing this year in 2022. So let's get started. First of all, I have my foundation for learning my new language, Mandarin Chinese, which is working with my tutor. You know what? Let's start here. Let's start on my phone here, and let's start on my favorite platform for finding a teacher and practicing my Mandarin, my structured system here, which is, have you guessed what it is? italki here. And no, this video is not sponsored, but italki, if we want to work together at some point in the future. But anyway, italki, and I am working with my Mandarin teacher there. She is in China. I meet with her once a week. This is the foundation of my language learning for 2022, and I am going to share with you my lessons. So this is from the second half of 2021, and how I am continuing into this year, 2022, and my practice, what that looks like, how I'm using that, and yes, first, my teacher here. So I use italki and I have my lessons here. So if I go to my account and then I click on my lessons, you'll see here that I have my early morning lessons. I meet with my Chinese teacher at 6:30 in the morning right now, sometimes 5:30, and yes, it is early because she's in China and I'm in California, so get time difference there. And then of course I use it for my other languages as well, for my Spanish, my French, and that's it. And my English, I don't use it for. But yes, so italki. This is my foundation, meeting with my teacher, my tutor here. She is one of the the teachers, I believe they call them. They have the peer tutors and the teachers. She is a teacher and she creates my lessons. So let's jump over here, shall we, to my lessons, and this is what this looks like from second half of 2021. This is what I have done so far with my lessons. So that is 6 months of lessons. Yes, it's somewhat of a slow pace to some, but to me, this is a good pace. This is my pace for my Mandarin, and I go each week. So each week she has a sort of lesson for me here, and this week we are right here, and this week this is my lesson, and then what I do here, so I review in my notebook. Today, for example, I went through and I reviewed, actually I did a full review today of everything in here, and it is 6 months, but it's not like taking a college course for 6 months. It's not that much content, and I prefer it this way because it allows me to really learn these foundations well. And as you guys who know, you know I'm all about learning well over learning fast, because I believe that when you learn well to begin with, you will learn faster long term and you will retain more, and it is just all around better. It's my process. So I did a complete review today, and what I did for learning a new language, strategy 1, let's call it, I went through, and each section that I had something, let's find a nice one that has both, yes, pinyin and Chinese. And so what I do here, I went through, I did this whole, everything this way. I read the pinyin, so I read 他的头发有点短, and then I read the characters. And I don't know all of the characters yet for all of the characters and all of the pinyin. I haven't memorized all of the characters for all of the vocabulary that I have yet. So what I do then is I take one, and I'll read like ta, and then I'll go over to the next one. De, and then do, fa, yo, what's that one? Dien, duan, yo, dien, duan. So by doing it that way, I am teaching myself here, I'll put it close so you guys can see it. I'm teaching myself by doing that. I'm teaching myself how to recognize those characters, and really I'm training my brain, because I don't memorize them after going through it one time. It takes many times. But every time I do that, every time I go through these, I'm training my brain to recognize these characters, to associate them with these sounds, and then to associate them with the word that the meaning that they have, the word that they represent, the whatever they are. I'm training my brain to recognize what those characters are with the sound and what they mean, and then to be able to construct sentences in them as well. So with them as well. So like over here, then I would read this, and then I would do the same thing. Read it pinyin, read it in characters, and then the ones that I don't know the characters, how to say them, I look back at that pinyin and then I read it again, the characters. I'll read it a couple times in pinyin and then a couple times the characters, and then it helps. It gets better each time. And then I'll put this away. So it took me an hour and a half today, went through everything. And this is a really nice example too, something like this, because then you can see the character and the, the character and the pinyin, and they're right there. So that is really nice to have that way, because you can really easily find which one is which. I use italki over here. And yes, so learning a new language, building those foundations, even if it's slow. This is crucial. If you have to take a class and you have to keep up with that, then of course you have to find a way to match that pace of that course. If you are learning by yourself, if you are self-studying, or if you're taking like private classes like what I'm doing with my tutor, then you have the advantage of being able to dictate your own pace, which is really nice. And I think that is ideal as far, well, you know what, for me it's ideal. Everyone has their own ideal, but it is different. So with this, all of these strategies like that I'm using here, of course you can still use them if you're taking a course at a university or something that is more fast-paced, but you may have to, you will have to, you know, modify and spend different amounts of time on different things, and just kind of make the process your own, like with learning anything and learning any language. So that is my core of my course, so my lessons here. Yes, and today that practice that I shared with you, that I did today, so that strategy 1, that is primarily speaking, character recognition, and this works even if it's not Mandarin, even if it's like Spanish or French or any of the languages, it'll work. And it's a little easier for those because you don't have to spend so much time on like recognizing those. It's easier to read and write in French and Spanish than it is in Chinese if you're a native English speaker or any language that is similar to those. And so that is strategy 1, right? Character recognition, speaking practice, associating sounds and characters, and just overall review. Okay, and then what I'll do, so I'll take a section here, okay, let's say like this vocabulary here. I will take that, and then I will go over into my practice notebook here, and I will practice, of course. And so what I'll do is, let's see, so my last one that I did was actually a few days ago, and I call this a sort of journal. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's writing some practice like sentences, sometimes it's just me like writing my vocabulary over and over again. This is what this looks like, my work so far. This is the last 6 months of work. So again, it's not like a ton, but for my goals with this language, it is, you know, it's good for me. And I'm speeding up now that I've gotten a little bit further into it. So that's important too. When you're a beginner in a language, yes, beginner in a language, it's okay to take it kind of slow at first, as long as you have a steady structure. Like for me, I meet with my teacher every week, and that keeps me on track. That holds me accountable for making some kind of progress, and it speeds up. So at the 6-month point where I am now, going into 2022, it's beginning to speed up because I have learned the basics. I have learned how to write a character. I have learned how to create a sentence. I've learned, some vocabulary, so I can kind of start playing with the language a little bit, if you will. And so what I'll do is I will call this a sort of journal, and I'll practice here. So I'll write, it's very bright, I apologize. I will write the date because I want to get extra practice in, so I write the date in Chinese, and then I write a few sentences using my vocabulary. And then I like to use these colors here. Oh, and by the way, I have shared pretty much all of these on my Instagram and like the pictures, because the studygram is another way that I study. So within my, even though I teach language, I also use what I do as a way to practice. Everything that I do here, like, yes, I teach, but I only am able to teach because I'm constantly learning. And so the two are one, really. And yes, so my studygram, you can see my notes up close if you want to see what these look like, my practice, and just get ideas from them. You're welcome to do that on my Instagram, which is the same, Vigilante Linguistics, and you can see my notes. And also just some other fun language stuff. So on here, and then the next one I chose to do a vocabulary, so repetition. Yes, repetition, repetition, repetition. And I always write the date in Chinese up here because I want as much practice as possible. So this is my written practice. Of course, it's writing, but it is also vocabulary, repetition, and then I also get a little bit of speaking practice in with this, because what I do is I will write and then I'll speak as I'm reading it, and I write the pinyin here as well. So I have the character, and then I also write the pinyin, and and the English word. So I try to get that all in there because I have found that I've tried it other ways where I don't write the pinyin, and like some of my other ones here, like I wrote, okay, this is a little ways back, and here, see, I was writing the character and then I was writing the pinyin and the English word just one time, and I wasn't seeing the results I wanted with that, and so I changed it. So now I write both there, and also okay, so one thing at a time, sir. Okay, so with this, so I write the pinyin, I write the character, and then I write the pinyin, and then I write the English word, and then below that I write the character again and the pinyin again, and so the English word just the one time, and I do that over and over again, and then I'll make sentences with it. And with this, I mean, I like to use the colors because it makes it fun for me to use these colors, and it makes it easier for me to find the word, like, oh, I want to find kuaizi. Okay, kuaizi, chopsticks, is here. I think that's chopsticks. Chopsticks. Yes, chopsticks. See, it's working. I'm learning. And then I can find that easily. And yes, and then I will read. So as I'm writing it, I'll write the character here, and then I'll read it. I'll write it, and then I'll say, I'll say to myself, like, kuaizi, kuai, and get the tones in there. Kuaizi, and then I'll go to the next one, right? All right, pan. I'll practice the tone. It's going up, so I'll practice pan, pan. And I'm still gonna hang a bit, but I'll over enunciate it as much as I can to get that like practice in there, because that's the thing with practice, and as opposed to like speaking, is that it's nice to over practice, to over enunciate, to be overly to be overly specific when you're practicing, because then when you go to actually use it, then you remember enough to do it well. Of course, I'm not going to be speaking to someone and being like quai zi, it's gonna be like quai zi, and it'll sound more natural when I say it that way. Right now it might not, because I'm still very much a beginner, but that's the idea there. Over practice, over train, over articulate, over everything, so that when you go to actually use it, you can do it well. You can do it at like a satisfactory level, because when you practiced, you're up here. And then when you have to use it, like speaking a conversation, when there's a lot of pressure, it can just come out because it'll be natural because you practice at a higher level. And then when you are under pressure, it will naturally take you down a few notches. But the idea there is that then you're at the level you want to be at. And yes, that is what I do there with that. So I get writing practice, speaking practice, vocabulary practice, and that's it. No listening practice there. So actually, listening practice is missing, isn't it? So my listening practice, I guess I do need a little bit more of. I get that with my Mandarin just in my lessons right now. And in my other languages, in Spanish, I get that really like all over the place because of where I live in Southern California. And but also in music, which I've been adding in more of in Spanish and in French. That is primarily my listening practice right now. So it's important to have a variety, to have a mixture of each of these practices, and you're not necessarily going to do things the way that I do them. This is just the way that I do it, and take what you like, leave what you don't, but try the different strategies and, you know, give them a shot and then like tweak them. You don't necessarily have to be all or nothing, like, oh, I like this, I hate this. No, just like get ideas from me, from others, and use those and see where it goes. And that's it. So if you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up down below and make sure that you are subscribed as a language vigilante, because we are moving our way on up to 4,000 subscribers. And yes, we are moving our way on up and up and up and up. So make sure you're here for the next video. Bye guys.